Sponsored by Battle Tribe. For awesome stickers, patches, t-shirts, art, and more, check out our Etsy store, Battle Tribe.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going over how to make a Warhammer Catachan Death World / Lustria table / jungle table for Ghost Archipelago / jungle table for a new game working on Red Jungle. So you can see here I sketched out really quickly like the idea and the concept of kind of how I wanted to lay out the 2x2 tiles for a 4x4 table. So just gives me some ideas and a frame of reference. I did it in Procreate. So I got to it, each of the tiles. So pretty much two ideas were two flat tiles that wouldn't have any terrain physically on it. One tile was going to have some rivers. One tile was going to have a corner plateau mountain with a waterfall on it. So I got to cutting out the shapes. So you can see me gluing the tried and true, doing the pancake method where you put all the slabs together. So I made this one giant like pillar-ish plateau thing, and that's the corner where I'm going to have the waterfall cascading on. So what I did was I used wood glue, glued these things together and let them sit overnight. And then when they, even though there's like edges and it was very rough, once it was dry, I could get into it and start carving away piece by piece. So nice and rough. I'm going to come in there and do more detailing and stuff. The one thing I didn't get to do it 100% to effectiveness, but the one thing I wanted to try was try not to have that styrofoam stacked on styrofoam look. I want to camouflage it up a bit with wood chips and different stuff. So now it's all dry. This is the day after, so I have all of it together. So I'm gonna use a really sharp X-Acto knife, starting to make a mess, and just get in there and just start carving those slopes as best as possible. So you can see me. So at first I didn't worry about it, but now I'm getting in there and just kind of carving and shaping these rock formations that are going to be the plateau where this waterfall kind of cascades off of. So bit of work, but worth it. At first I thought about making it modular, but I was just really obsessed with making a permanent 2x2 piece of terrain. So just carving in here. So in my sketch, the idea was to kind of make this corner elbow inside become the waterfall. This is just insulation foam I got from Home Depot. So drew some lines and tracing like the little channel where the water's going to come down. I went on Amazon, everything I Amazon everything, so I bought a box of X-Acto knives and just plowing through them, just cutting in. You can always go back with a black magic marker and sketch more guidelines to kind of get it in place. Slowly peel up. Just get in there. This arduous task. There's some other spots I could have simplified it. I could have drawn it out originally before I glued any of it together, but it's all right. You got to kind of ebb and flow with the creative process. You know, you have a plan, but nothing's exactly is going to come out exactly the way you want it. And it's kind of cool to have that organic, creative process. I find it relaxing. Okay, for the next part, you can see I glued some wood with wood glue to the bottom of the 2x2 to give it some weight so it get moved around. And I'm starting to put, so this plateau thing with the waterfall is going to go right there. Going in and giving some rough cuts on it. Now I'm starting to draw out like where I'm going to have this lake this body of water. So kind of going off what I drew, I'm gonna make it come out here a little bit. So pretty much this whole tile is gonna be consumed by this lake. Drawing over here, giving it a rough shape. And I wrote water just to a lake, just to make sure I knew what the heck it was. Now I'm gonna get in there and start cutting. So I should have planned this a little better and cut this out before it was on the wood, but it is what it is. So at least I don't have to worry about resin leaking through the bottom because I'm cutting out a layer. So I just get in there and just start slicing and dicing, cutting at an angle, and just start pulling all the foam out, cutting down into it. That's one thing cool about having the molded terrain is you can have depth and layer. So you can see me doing it right here. So here is an unfinished jungle tree that I work on. I actually have a video that I released prior that shows how I did that, but here's the rough armature of the tree. It's a wooden branch with woodland scenic green stuffed into it, trees into it, which I later attached foliage to. So pretty cool. But the reason why I'm bringing it out is to see if it would fit on parts of the terrain. So yeah, it would fit up there and other locations. So now you can see my got really down into the lake area. So that's the base of it. I'm sweeping all the debris away because I'm going to get in there with wood putty and start adding rocks and different stuff to it. Now I have wood putty. So I'm going in there. You can see I glued some pine bark I got online in there, but I'm just slopping this wood putty in to give it that kind of fill in the gaps so it doesn't look like stacked styrofoam. Also too, to give it that rough edge. Pretty cool. Just want to make it look like a cliff face. So you can see how I've used I actually used a rotary tool and got in there, and I used the X-Acto knife and just kept a lot of serrated edges and just kind of just went and roughed it out. I added some little cliff faces, and with this texture, it's going to add to it. Now I'm adding some wood putty to the base of the lake and just smoothing it out, give it the texture and to get rid of that styrofoam look. So I'm just mushing around, adding some water to it to thin it out a bit, and just kind of building up the base of the terrain. Now I'm adding some wood glue, so I'm going to smear it around and start adding gravel and rocks, give it some more texture. Just using some gravel I got from Petco, kind of pushing it into the wood putty and the wood glue. So I'm going to give this thing all a cover of black house paint so I'll make it stick, but just let it. So I let this dry overnight and then shook it out, got rid of the remnants, but just more to give it little rocky outcroppings and stuff. Just liberally applied more wood glue and just got in there. So here's one of the cliff mountain facings I'm doing. So I did this actually on a template, so it would be modular, but doing the same thing I did to the other plateau, but just did it on that. So you could see them. That's another giant plateau I made, so that's nice flat. Started working on the cutting out the lake on the other tile. Same thing, just cut it at an angle and started peeling it all out, so it has some depth to it. Same thing, small little pond, tiny little pond, same thing. Lines across and then begin to cut. All right, back to mixing wood putty. Just smearing it more and more. This is my second tub of it, just getting in there and just applying it over. So just trying to rough out those, so just doing the best I can. Now breaking out the house paint. Everything's been dry, so black base. Makes it really durable, and just, you can see I did that. So I do it with the base of this black paint, house paint, flat, and then I add sand to it. So I'm just trying to get it. The hard part is just trying to get every nook and cranny, because when you go light, when you paint light paint on top of it, every little piece of pink will show through. And you don't want that. You want a nice even coat. So just take your time. More black house paint. So I did the layer, and now it's time to sand it. So I got a nice thick layer, and I started planting. I use playground sand or sandbox sand. So I got bags of this stuff, so I just spread it all over it. And then shake it out. Let it dry. But it gives it a great texture for the miniatures. You're going to have to go back and like knock any clumps off, so terrain lays flat on it, but I like it a lot. Sand and sand, and just keep throwing sand. So layer of sand inside where the water is going to be, and all over. Try nicely, evenly get it. All right, everything's painted black. Now I'm going in with the brown, so I'm using apple barrel cheap craft paint and just going in there and hitting all the sandy parts. You guys did miss it. I did spray the cliff faces with a dark gray primer and then a light gray primer to give it that rock face look. Just waiting for this to dry. So patiently just going through and painting all of it. So see, just dousing it brown. So the lake, I'm going to do brown on the outside, like a blue, and then like a black in the center to give it that forced perspective depth when the resin is poured. So just slowly going through, just squirting it all over it and getting in there and applying the paint. More paint, just painting the base, just getting in there. Brown paint on everything and just working it in there, getting that texture. Nice and slow. All right, now you can see all the brown paint kind of laid down. Remember, I sprayed the rock faces gray. It's all different textures, and I got that's where the lake is, and that's the other flat piece over there. So this project's taking over my basement, but that's where the lake is going to be. So you can start to see, like, here's one of the rock formations laid on top of it. Modular, and that looks pretty cool. Now I'm using a lighter paint and just getting in there and lighten it up. Using like a sand color, hitting all the edges to give a highlight on the rock faces. Give it that natural look. Now you can see how it's all coming along. So I gave all the highlights. So pretty cool how the rock faces. That's one of the temples. In another video show I painted that, but that's pretty much all the tiles all done. I got the plateaus and getting further along with this project. I just got to paint inside the lakes and the rivers. So while I was waiting for some of it to dry, I started using Elmer's glue, clear Elmer's glue, and just started slowly painting the glue, and then using this giant thing of static flock and just hitting the whole thing, just brushing it on, just letting it dry, and then shaking it out, and then just going through the whole thing. So it actually takes a while, and it's kind of a mess, but it comes out cool. So now you can see me painting the rim. So a light brown, and then I did a blue and then a black in the center to make it really look deep. So when the water's poured, it will give that depth, that look of depth in the center. So, and I didn't do any highlights on the black either. So it kind of looks dark, like it goes really deep. So that forced perspective is going to add to the effect. Painting the river now, you can see it just doing the same thing. Blue on the outside, black in the middle. Going back now and just hitting more highlights just to hit anything I've missed. Now, I got these fake plants from Amazon, real cheap. I think like 50 little plants are $8. So I kind of like trying to figure out. Some of them I didn't like the colors, so I made this thing where I'm going to spray them with a green, change color. I don't like I don't want it to look like too aquarium. More flock, just adding it slowly. You can see the texture coming out really cool, patches and stuff. Doing this, using the green, just letting it dry, and then I'll dust it all off and go on to the next. Just slowly working through it. So you can see I spray painted all these plants. So got rid of the ugly color. Some more static flock everywhere. It's all over the floor. I cleaned it up. It's a complete mess, but worth it. You can see that tile's finished. I made like little stairs in the back there so characters can, like, models can move up there. So now you can see I'm starting to. So pretty much punching holes with a dental tool, a sculpting tool, and then just crazy gluing them and inserting them. Just adding them all over. You can see over here. So the lake, I permanently put some plants into it and around the edges to give it that look. Some of the terrain, like the hills and stuff, same thing. But it's really cool, but you can see it all kind of coming together right now. So now I pulled out some of my jungle terrain and started adding it to it. So now you can see it all coming to life. Really cool. I'm really happy. So I got some tufts off Amazon. Another thing too, like 200 tufts for like $8 steel. So I started laying tufts in around the edges of the lakes and pieces of the terrain on the permanent. So really cool. Just crazy gluing each part and put them down. Just kind of giving that natural look. Really loving how it's coming out. I did it all over the waterfall template tile. So these I spray painted, and then we got dark green, and then I did like a light green and speckled on top, give it a little bit of a highlight. So I had some extra foam left and some little MDF tiles I got a long time ago on Etsy. I didn't use for anything, so I glued the foam on, let it dry, and then I sliced it and kind of molded it to make bases to insert more vegetation to make the scatter terrain. So I had a lot of plastic plants left over and some palm trees and some plastic bamboo. So I made these bases. So painted them black, sanded them, just let them dry. I'm gonna shake them out. Gonna shake it out, and then I got these. Now I'm gonna repaint them black to seal it in. Then when they were dried, I got brown paint, dry brushed them, let them dry. These are gonna be great because I dry brush them again with a sandy color. Then I'm gonna go back and white glue them and flock them. Scatter terrain's always great, so use some clear Elmer's, dabbed it all over them, and then so now I have the trees and the bushes I'm going to add to them. So take them out. This is a quick little tutorial on how I did all the scatter terrain. Make sure I get all the edges and stuff. Shake them out. Now I have a perfect base to insert foliage into. I'm really happy how these came out too. All right, now that you have these templates done with the pink foam, on top of it, it makes a great place to just poke them into. So you take your ferns, your trees, your plastic trees, a little wood glue, and you just start poking them into it and letting them dry. So I had 2 extra palm trees left over from another project. I just added those in there. Then I got all the really cool. You can use this for tree bases. Now I got all these ferns. These ferns I got on Amazon, and just use a dental tool, poke them in, a little wood glue, boom, boom, just arranging them, kind of grouping certain colors together and make them look natural, like they're grown together. So it's always good to have an extra scattered terrain to fill in the gaps of your larger terrain. Just gives a really cool natural look to your battlefields. Real happy how this is coming out. Then I added some tufts, those Amazon tufts I had. Here's another one I had spare, plastic bamboo I got on Amazon too from another project. Just poking them in and inserting them, wood glue. All starting to come together. You can see all the different, just adding more plants, coming out cool. So keeping in mind how much I had, so I'm kind of like spacing them out to maximize the amount I have. So here you go, all finished up. So that's 6 little pieces of scatter terrain jungle, and they look great, man. You had guys next to them and stuff. It really gives it some more lower terrain to fill in the gaps from my other terrain. You can see them mixed in with some my catachans. So really cool. Just adds that depth to your battlefields that you want to have. And it could be used as light cover or whatever for whatever game system you're using. Now on to the resin. Here's a gallon of resin I got on Amazon. So I bought a pail I'm going to throw away. So I do have some mistakes with this. I have a cardboard box to put over it so you don't get any debris stuck in it. So I started mixing it. So I added some blue ink. I should have added way more, but hey, you live and learn. So I wanted kind of like a darker tropical look. But I did add it. Added a little bit to it, darkened it up just a little bit. So in the instructions said, mix for 3 minutes. So I started adding part B to the hardener to it. And then I just started mixing the crap out of it. So I actually mixed it for 4 minutes because I did not want to pour this crap and it be tacky. So just got in there and just started mixing it up. Set a timer on my phone. Just trying to get all those bubbles out of there. Get ready for the pour. This stuff hardened so fast. So I poured it in. But it started bubbling a little bit. The resin I used before my Mordheim, the bubbles came out overnight. This resin I used, the bubbles did not come out. So I had some under there. So you could see these bubbles came up. So I mean, it's like a swampy kind of jungle thing, so not too bad. But I actually went back in there with some white paint and some Woodland Scenics water effects and kind of just rippled it up a little bit later on the projects. So that's kind of like, at first I was like, damn. And like you could see there's like little just bubbles everywhere. This resin really wasn't that great. But once again, like, what am I going to do? Like, I spent so much time on it. So I took Woodland Scenics and just started, I added some white to it and just started mushing it around to kind of give like a little bit of a waves because the waterfall would be pushing water around, so you have a little bit of movement and some, rocks, a little tiny rapids. Another thing too with this waterfall is I was going to do like this gushing waterfall cascading down, but it looks really small, so I kind of just went with like a slight little streaming waterfall, like a very light stream going into it. So I added some movement, some rapids you could see there. So it's really white now, but most of it is going to dry clear. So I kind of drew out how the water's moving, kind of pouring out of there. So, but now you can see it's dried. So it's cool, like I just let the resin naturally pour down there. So now I have this, some rapids, and there you go. So all the extra jungle terrain I had, some raptor miniatures and my temples I built, little big trees. I got T-Rex in there. So got the water, got some more templates up there, and it's all out of focus. Love it. There you go. So it's got some movement in there. So not bad, man. I'm really freaking happy with it, and it's gonna be cool to game on. So everybody, here it is, pretty much done. I have a lot more other jungle terrain that I'm gonna add to it, but yeah, man, I'm really happy. A couple little mistakes here and there, but like, you have to work with it and, push through it and do different stuff, but really happy. Each of the squares are 2x2 with wood underneath them to give them weight, and which is a good thing and a bad thing, but it keeps people from like knocking them around and everything. So, but I wanted to do this quasi modular jungle table for Ghost Archipelago, Lustria. So we do Mordheim a lot, so you can do Lustria. What do you call it? 40k. You could do smaller games of 40k on it. And the new game I'm working on, Red Jungle, which is a supernatural grimdark Vietnam skirmish game. So stay tuned to that. Details coming. You heard it here first. So I'll just take you through some of the stuff. So some of the mistakes was the resin. The resin I got on Amazon, it cured really fast, and I was running around and I wasn't able to get the air bubbles out. Usually you hit them with like a grill lighter and they disappear. So there was a couple ones over here in this little waterfall. So I just tried to camouflage them in as best I could with some white paint and Woodland Scenics waves, water effect. They have like a wave thing. So, and I did a little, so originally it looks a little wacky with all the lights on. So, but in person it looks pretty cool. So, I painted in some of the ripples. And those ripples are 3-dimensional as well as having some white paint in them. Originally I was gonna do a raging waterfall, but honestly, like that tiny little stream, it kind of it would look a little ridiculous if water was just pouring out, cascading. So I just naturally let the resin pour down, and then I just painted some stream. So it's like a very subtle stream waterfall. So, but pretty happy. So this piece isn't modular, like this plateau and this part right here aren't. So, and then I painted up the whole backside with detail. So if it's butted up against something, it could divide a table place out. Like a quarter of the table could be like kind of blocked out by it. Just wanted that big high, line of sight blocking. It also too, like you really feel that you're inside the jungle, so forth. So really cool. Got this T-Rex coming through. So it goes Archipelago, dinosaurs show up and stuff. Really kick ass. So, but yeah, man, happy. I had the shallows and I painted it. I did the you saw earlier in the video, painted it brown, did blue, and then I did a black, straight black in the middle to give that forced perspective depth, make it look deeper than it really is. So pretty happy with how that came out. All these permanent. So out of the two boards, 2 of them are completely flat with nothing done to them. So this one and that one over there. That one has the waterfall, and then this one I did like a little lake, little sitting. This one I really add too much water effects to on top. Just kind of left it. I gotta get some of the static grass off of it. And I did another little pond over there. So really cool. I love these guys. These are the Reptilian Overlords, Wargames Atlantic Space Nom guys. Really kick-ass models. I got some Raptors over there from Reaper Miniatures. Those are pretty old. Pretty cool. So, and then, as I showed before, I did one of my other videos is I got some aquarium temples and added Woodland Scenics trees to them and bushes and stuff. Really freaking cool. There's another one. So there's some really cool files out there for some Lizard Man temples. I'm gonna make a ton of those. So and here's some of the scatter terrain. Looks pretty cool. Some more jungle. This is one of the big This is like my big plateau mountain thing. Pretty kick-ass. Gives a lot of height. Just a big piece of terrain. See, like when you're down here, it looks really cool. Like you're inside the valley. So there's another repainted aquarium temple. It actually looked pretty good out of the box. I just wanted to add a little to it. And then over here, this is the other section that has nothing on it. So, but here's the cool. So obviously it's just stacked pink styrofoam, but I hit it with much wood putty and hot glue and all different sand and everything to try to like change it up. And I did give steps to it, so you could put figs, miniatures can climb up to the top of it a little bit. So, but really cool because it gives that whole prehistoric jungle hellhole friggin' valley feel. So cool shot over there, the friggin' waterfall again. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was a really cool build. I really got inspired. There's a couple of guys on the Ghost Archipelago Facebook group that really did some awesome stuff, so I kind of copied what they did and took it my own direction. And it's cool because, like, you know, it's always an evolving project and it changes from here and there, and you just kind of go with it. And, you know, from the early drawing concepts of what I wanted to do till now, there's some big changes, but I'm really happy with it. And I'm just a sucker for jungle warfare, wargaming. So really cool. So hope you guys liked and enjoyed this build process. More to come. I'm gonna do some other tiles. So I could do a like a World War II fantasy table with some roads and farmhouses and stuff like that. So stay tuned to that, man. Really cool. So hope everybody enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and happy gaming.